This declassified CIA document, a U.S. Army intelligence officer opens up by saying, tasked me to provide an assessment of the gateway experience in terms of its mechanics and ultimate practicality. That matters because they didn't ask him if it worked, they were asking him to explain the mechanism, how it works, and why it works. The rest of page 1 is him explaining what he had to do to answer that. In plain language, he says, to understand gateway, I couldn't rely on spirituality or religion. I had to use biology, then neuroscience, then quantum physics. He talks about studying the brain, consciousness, and something called hemispheric synchronization, basically getting both sides of the brain working together. And he's very clear about one thing. He intentionally removes anything mystical or occult so that this can be evaluated objectively by the military. On the second page, things get interesting. He acknowledges that experiences like this show up across religions, Eastern traditions, Western traditions, Christianity, Buddhism, Hindu philosophy, but he makes a very specific point. He says the gateway doesn't contradict religion. In other words, humans have been describing similar states of consciousness for thousands of years. We just use different language. And he also warns that people might reject gateway not because it's wrong, but because it challenges how we understand reality. And then he ends with this line: this study is not designed to be the last word on the subject. He actually says the structure is valid, concepts are sound, and that it could be useful to other Army personnel. So here's the real question. If this had value and it was useful enough for a 29-page Army analysis, why did we never hear about it again? Did it stop, or did it change names, departments, or contractors? Now, there are theories that this was used on kids or secretly deployed in our schools. Now, to be clear, there's no direct evidence of that in this document, but lack of evidence doesn't always mean something never happened. Sometimes it means records didn't survive or weren't meant to. Let me know if you want me to do a deep dive on that. This was only the first 2 pages of a 29-page document, and yes, some pages appear to be missing. If you want a deeper breakdown of how the gateway process actually works on the brain and what the rest of this document says, hit follow. And please consider leaving a comment below and showing support for the channel.